From fresh grapes to bottled wine, an agri-food supply chain. The agri-food supply chain for the production of bottled wine from vineyard grapes involves various value additions. Grapes are grown and harvested by a producer, sold to a winery to be fermented, bottled and labeled, and then shipped to the retail locations in order to be sold and enjoyed by consumers. As the transformation from grapes to wine occurs, value is added, increasing the market price. The first step to producing wine is growing and harvesting the grapes. Many factors have an effect on how efficiently grapes are grown, and in turn affect the farmer economically. The cost of inputs must be less than the revenue brought by the final product in order for the crop to be worth the farmer's time. Grapes require full sun, soil with a neutral pH, trellising, pollinators, pruning, and protection from disease and pests for best results. By meeting these needs, farmers can maximize their profits by minimizing inputs and maximizing yields. After harvest, the grapes are transported to a winery to be fermented. The graph on the left shows the price of grapes in cents per pound on average over the past 10 years. Price of the commodity is very dependent on supply and demand, hence the many fluctuations in price over the years. This could be explained by a change in the amount of grapes yielded for a season, or the change in the demand for grapes. The graph to the right shows the average production of grapes in pounds over the past 10 years. This quantity is highly dependent on environmental conditions, as the yield is affected by poor weather conditions. Fermentation is the process through which the juice of the crushed grapes develops an alcohol content. The crushed grapes can be strained to remove the skins and solids, or left in to alter the taste of the wine. The process is an investment of time, as fermentation takes a few weeks to use up the sugars in the juice and takes several additional years to age. Fermentation containers hold the crushed grape juice while it ferments. The unique design of the containers allows for easy filling and emptying. There are different carrying capacities for the containers, and likewise different costs associated with each, ranging from a small tank at $4,500 to a much larger tank at nearly $30,000. Tanks can be custom made to accommodate the size of the operation. Transportation of wine is usually done by land or by sea in tanker trucks or freight containers. Wine has to be properly secured and stored to be transported. There are three main storage containers: ISO tanks, flexi tanks, and bottle caskets. ISO tanks are fairly expensive as they are solid, refrigerated tanks. They are also expensive to transport due to their heavy weight. Flexi tanks, in contrast, are flexible and cheap. They look more like a plastic bag than a tank. Bottles or caskets have the classic appeal and would be chosen more due to presentation instead of functionality. After wine is finished fermenting and aging, it goes on to be bottled. The bottling process begins with a sterile bottle, which can vary in shape and color depending on the cost and customs. Bottle prices can range from 50 cents to $2 per bottle, with the more expensive bottles having a thicker glass and higher punts. The bottles are then bottom filled with wine. This is done by placing a tube in the bottle and then filling it from the bottom up. This is done to reduce the wine's oxygen uptake. Once the wine is in the bottle, it is sealed. This can be done with either a cork or a screw cap. Screw caps are used for the standard wines, and corks tend to be used for wines to be aged in the bottle. Corks can range from 10 cents to $2 in price, with the more expensive corks being longer and higher quality. Once the bottle is closed, a capsule is placed over top. Once the wine has been bottled and sealed, it moves on to be labeled. Companies can spend a few thousand on the design for their bottles. After designing a label, it can cost anywhere from 20 cents to 30 cents per label to produce. Once the labels are on, the bottles are packaged into boxes of 12 or 6. These boxes are usually cardboard, but some companies choose to use a more expensive wooden box. The LCBO, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, is one of the common wine suppliers in Ontario. Wine can also be purchased in various approved grocery stores. When stocking their shelves, the LCBO will pay their suppliers for the product and the price of transporting it to their store locations. An additional number of dollars is added to the retail price dependent on the wine brand in order for the LCBO to turn a profit on the product. When the LCBO purchases their wine, there are rules in place for inspection of bottle volumes and quality before the wine is available to consumers. The graph to the left displays the average wine consumption in gallons per person over the past 10 years. As the years proceeded, wine consumption seems to have gradually increased. This could indicate an increase in supply and/or demand. The graph to the right shows the average price of a wine bottle at the LCBO over the past 10 years. It has also seen an increase. Consumers of wine and other alcohols must be at least 19 years of age in Ontario. A wide selection of wine brands are available to those customers at a price slightly lower than the Canadian average in Ontario. However, the different brands can charge different amounts for their bottles based on the price of production and the brand's reputation. In summary, the agri-food supply chain for wine is quite complex. Grapes undergo various value additions, leading to bottled wine available for purchase in liquor stores near you.